Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS, and in today's video I'm actually going to be talking about something that a viewer pointed out to me in a PM, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is from Nershanify. He says, "Hey, so I have an idea or thought you guys could look into. My friend plays Mermail still in this format, and tonight someone brought this to our attention while he was dueling him. He said, when Mermails were big, I felt like I could never beat them. Now it's like a walk in the park. So that got us thinking, what if the meta is really just mental? What if the reason why we hate Shadalls and Dante is solely because of the hype and the top boards at locals make us think that they're god tier, when in reality they're just decks that will come and go and have strengths and weaknesses? The guy I was dueling was using Blackwings too, so it's not like this was a new, clear BA deck against Mermails. And my friend is a $200 Mermail deck, complete with Big Eye, Tidal, and all the stuff needed to top with Mermails." Alright, so this is a very interesting thing. This is something I've actually thought about before myself. It sometimes feels like when ban lists, happen and the format evolves and new cards are released, it feels like old decks that we just struggled with so much in their prime. These old decks, sometimes they just don't seem to really have as much impact, and that's kind of what this guy is saying. And I've noticed it too, for a while now actually. Some other really great examples to me are things like Dino Rabbit, which, obviously Rabbit's a 1 now, so of course it's not good, but some of the major cards, things like Lagia, things like Dolka, even when the fast evol decks today bring out Lagias and Dolkas, it doesn't feel like they're as threatening. And same thing goes for a lot of windups, big monsters like Tiras, things like that used to just be huge problems, no longer are. And this isn't really meant to be a power creep discussion, even though that is something that's relative to it. But it does feel like sometimes in Yu-Gi-Oh, sometimes it feels like maybe it's just a mental block where, when you're using a deck, or you're facing a deck, I should say, when you're facing a deck, it feels like the deck is just unbeatable. I had the same complex, in fact, with Mermails when they were a big thing. I just felt like when I was facing them, it was so hopeless. They had so many options, so many plays, and now I've actually been using them online recently, and I found them to just be a bit underwhelming. I'm starting to see that they have weaknesses. They burn up their hand really quickly, and things like Dracosac, things like Big Eye and Bisgaios that used to be so oppressive as cards are now just sort of standard fare. I don't know if it's the fact that it's easier to negate a lot of effects now. Breakthrough skill wasn't quite as big of a thing when Mermails first dropped, and it's easier to use cards like that, or what, I'm just not really sure, but it feels like that's definitely the case. I want to kind of know what you guys think. Here are some more of my thoughts on the topic, I guess, to make this an actual video. There are great examples of this. I think that Hat, when it was big, it just felt like it was kind of it was just a really uphill battle if you weren't actually doing a mirror match. Now, and I know Moreltek's a 1, but even before Moreltek went to 1, it just felt like Hat all of a sudden was a lot easier to beat once Duelist Alliance came out. Even if you weren't actually using one of the big decks from Duelist Alliance, even if you were just using something like, Blackwing, something like Gladiator Beast, something like Mermails or Fire Fist, or, whatever, it just felt like suddenly they weren't really as bad. Same goes for Madolche, who never lost anything on the ban list. I just suddenly got a little more underwhelming. Maybe the meta is a mental thing. Maybe it is true that, it's something that's just kind of a mental block that we have against these decks. Because in reality, all of these decks, a lot of top decks, do have weaknesses. I've even seen them in decks like Burning Abyss. The newer builds that don't run a lot of traps and maybe only run like a single copy of Fire Lake or maybe 2 copies, they're volatile. They can kill you, really randomly, but they can also fall victim to their own little sort of subset of problems. When you get out certain monsters, like Yazi, for example, and you just summon it and it's at 26 and can't be targeted, so it can't be banished by Farfa, and Virgil can't really do anything about it, it can really start to just... You start to see where Burning Abyss can have some struggles, and they do have to just start using plays they don't want to have to make. And it makes me wonder, 6 months from now, will that be the case? Will Burning Abyss not necessarily lose a whole lot of stuff in the ban list, but just suddenly sort of be exposed as monsters with effects that aren't all that meaningful? And I know part of it has to do with the power creep. Part of it is just the fact that, you know, these new cards come out and they aren't as good. A good example, I know this video is kind of just going everywhere, but a good example is actually Shadalls, which a lot of people are saying just are getting crept out. And they're kind of the least popular deck, and they can't keep up. Now this is an interesting thought to me. I disagree with the fact that they're just arbitrarily not as good. I think that's a player thing where players just kind of want to say that, oh, Shadalls aren't good anymore, maybe just in the hope that people won't play them. Because Shadalls haven't lost anything. I mean, yes, I know they lost like Super Poly, but I'm talking about, you know, in terms of Shadal cards, they haven't lost anything. They've gained their El Shadal fusions. They're just as scary and just as threatening as before. But it just goes to show that, like, when players think that a deck can't compete, a deck sort of inadvertently stops being able to compete. You start getting in your head this idea where, like, you know, if I play Shadalls with some rogue deck, windups, I don't know, or spellbooks or something, just those are kind of decks I usually like to use. When I start playing against Shadalls with those, it's like, you know, players are saying this deck isn't really as good as it once was. And as I'm playing with that mindset, I'm sometimes able to beat Shadalls much easier. I'm able to wear them out and run them low in advantage and, you know, just kind of sweep it. It's weird. I don't know if it's the mental block or if it really is just a thing. And it's kind of what I want to know from you guys. I thought this was a really, really great topic, and it does get you wondering, you know, are these meta decks really as, you know, just omnipotent and oppressive as we think they are, or do they just have weaknesses that we need to kind of get around in our head before we can really act on? So that concludes the video. I wanted to know what you guys think in the comments. Please let me know, because it's an interesting topic that does have some weight, and, you know, I've seen examples of it myself, so I want to know if you guys think that it's a true thing. And that's going to conclude. If you guys liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more great Yu-Gi-Oh! Vids. Share it with your friends, because it's kind of an interesting topic, I think. And follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. I will talk to you guys later. See ya.